How could we develop or explain more like how to identify an original artist?
It's one of my biggest struggles. It always has been. In reality, that has always put like a very big barrier between me and doing any art at all. And I remember wanting to get hired by somebody finally so that I don't have to do that thinking anymore. We have time to make things better. It's not like we need to rush things.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things when it comes to building your portfolios is that you want to rush things, or we want to rush things because we feel we don't have time. We feel we don't have time, but what we want to do takes time. So we rush it, thinking that's gonna work, and what ends up happening is that we lose more time because of that, because we are not starting or doing things right.
One of the common issues that I had brought up to me in the past is I don't enjoy the work anymore. When you don't enjoy the work, you have to kind of question yourself, like, why do you do games in the first place?
So it has been quite a time since our last podcast, Javi. Last time,
yes, sir, it has been
a lot of time, to be honest. We talk about different things.
I'm very excited.
Yes.
I think you can probably tell by my constant non-ending smile that it's been a while, and
yes,
kind of like I miss this.
Yes, to be honest, like for you guys who don't know, we used to do this kind of podcast like half a year before. I'm also doing interviews to material artists just for something else I'm building, like another part of FMA that for now it's private and no one knows about except for Javi and some other people. But when we start, Javi was one of the first professional artists I interview. You have the video in our YouTube channel if you want to see it. But we have such a good time that we actually started doing a podcast per week, and it was actually quite fun. But we don't have that much time now, so we might start to try to do it as much as we can, and if time allows us to do, and responsibilities, of course. So today we came here to talk about something in particular, and it's about authoring artwork for our portfolio. But before that, for those who don't know you, Javier, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about you, and why should people actually listen to you today?
Why should people listen to me? That's always a great question. Yeah, difficult to answer too. Well, my name is Javier Benitez, and I'm a 3D artist from Madrid in Spain. Currently, I head the efforts for the Onyx Academy, which is like a free education, I would say like an institution at this point, where we sponsor our students to make sure that they have accessible education to the games, like games development programs. I teach there too, have a lot of fun. I'm growing a lot at it, and I kind of feel like my brain moves faster every day. And absolutely my words struggle to keep up with how much I'm progressing in that regard. And well, in the past I've been a professional games developer, consider myself one still, but of course, like with how busy it's been with the academy, I'm enjoying that a lot, so I decided to focus my efforts there. I've worked on companies like Rockstar Games, Electronic Arts, NVIDIA, and many outsourcing studios like D3D, now 2K Valencia and Decagon. Had a lot of fun actually, with my games art career as well. Games art, yeah.
Game art career, yeah.
And yeah, now I just focus on, I don't know, kind of exploring what's, I guess, on the side of making art for games, and trying to be more than just a games artist, but also like a teacher, mentor, exploring photography. I don't know.
The path of an artist,
so
to be honest.
Just trying to, just trying to do more, I guess.
So hello to everyone who's just joining us. I just made the announcement on the Discord server, so I see that a lot of people just pop in. Welcome today. So you have been working for how long in the industry? You just said, Javi.
So it's gonna be 11 years now. Yeah,
11 years.
Since 2014.
How many times did you have to get a new job during that time? I know it can sound like a weird question, but I'm trying to make a point here.
Right. No.
That you, as a professional, because it happened to me as well. You need to, like, sometimes a job doesn't work out and you need to look for another job. Happened to me several times. And you go to interviews and sometimes you are not the preferred candidate for the studio, or also you don't like the studio. That can happen a lot.
Right.
How many times did you felt in this position, for example?
I've been a big jumper of jobs and positions. So
Yeah, me too.
I could say maybe 5 6 times maybe I changed jobs.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
much. Like I did almost the
maybe
same.
yeah
But I
yeah.
ask you
So
this because
in reality, oh sorry.
No, no, it's right. But I ask you this in particular because I wanted to show people that if you're someone who managed to get one job, you're always going to be able to get another job. And that's because you know something that many people who are not being capable of actually getting in the studio, you know something they don't know. So
Mhm.
today's podcast, the idea was to talk about authoring artworks, yes, for our portfolios to enhance that opportunity of actually getting into a job. So getting more into that topic, my question was, what is authoring artwork for you?
Ooh, having fun, I guess. Um, it didn't used to be like that in the past.
Hmm.
Um, I guess I've kind of become like a little bit of a hippie artist at this point, but I would say authoring art for me serves a few purposes. First
Hmm.
thing is like keeping the gears greasy in the way that it keeps you in shape, which is a great thing to do always as an artist. It serves the purpose of obviously creating portfolio pieces, but I would say that's like the least important part of the whole process as an artist, or the one that I tend to focus. I mean, I tend to focus the most on, but I tend to get the worst results when that is my sole and primary focus.
Yeah.
So like yeah, for me creating art is first of all enjoying it, then second
Hmm.
like keeping, I guess, the creative muscles moving. And then if it looks good and I'm enjoying the piece, then it's gonna turn into something great because I'm gonna have like a great flow of ideas and so on. And then obviously when that happens, you can turn that into a good portfolio piece. But if like I'm not enjoying the piece or whatever, then it's probably not going to turn into like a good portfolio piece.
Hmm.
So I guess first and foremost, what I need to look for is enjoying the process.
Well, when I talk about authoring, and I do agree a lot with you, what you just said, I talk about building an original art piece. And I think that we are
Hmm.
able to build original art piece only when we focus in something we're really passionate about. Like everyone has something
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
particular at their moment or in their life that they really love making. And because of that, they made an awesome work while doing that,
Hmm.
and they get the best out of it. In my case, like 5 years ago, when I got my first job, my first authoring piece was the flesh material. At that moment, I was like super amazed by creating textures, especially yucky textures or weird textures like flesh, and they look really weird. That material look really weird. So I think that came out quite well for me. And in a sense, if you're looking to make something authoring, you should look not only for something that is original, yes, but also something you really enjoy doing. But how could we
Hmm.
develop or explain more like how to identify an original artist, for example?
Look, I don't know. It's one of my biggest struggles. It always has been. I remember how like generate like just because of pursuing something original, because actually that has been one of my biggest worries. Every single time I wanted to develop a piece, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do like, I don't know, this car, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go through, at the time, Polycount, now ArtStation, I'm gonna go through those websites and try to see if anybody has done that before, and then I
Hmm.
would be like, yeah, somebody's done it, but I really want to do it, but I'm gonna make sure that I do it better than everybody, right? So it's always about that wanting to be unique sort of thing. In reality, that has always put like a very big, I guess, barrier between me and doing any art at all. And I
Hmm.
remember wanting to get hired by somebody finally, so that I don't have to do that thinking anymore. I don't have to figure out what's original anymore, because someone else is going to be able to tell me, what I should do. And obviously, because I'm busy with that, so the thought of doing something original was a big impediment of doing something original, because I never ever had an idea that was original enough, because that's really the reality of things. It's like that you're not
Hmm.
not going to be 100% original no matter how much you try. Everything's done.
Yeah.
So for me, that sort of transformed into something else, where I didn't try to be original. I just wanted to do something that I enjoyed. And in the process of enjoying that something, get some creative ideas that would make that different enough, or it would give those ideas my own,
Hmm.
I guess, my own sauce, if we can
Yeah.
call it like that.
Yeah. Your own
Yeah.
style. I think that what many people like.
Exactly. Yeah.
When you talk about originality, I feel like, and I include myself, like way some years back, I feel like we used to look for something no one has done. And as you just said
Yeah.
before, it's been quite a long time. Technology keeps like moving forward really fast, and information flows super fast as well. And you're able to learn a lot of things really fast. And by learning things
Mhm.
really fast, you have more power of creation. So there's a lot of things that have been created, a lot. So it's hard to find something that hasn't been created. Like you need to be super
Yeah.
specific. So adding your
Yeah.
small, like a really great way of making an authoring artwork or like an original artwork would be kind of like, okay, so what can you add to this art piece that no one has added to this? What's your element? What's
Yeah.
your sign in this artwork that is gonna make this different from the other 1,000 materials or artworks or props or environments that we have seen? Environments, maybe it's a little bit easier when it comes to making something original, because I think that you have a way more bigger tool to be creative. But when it comes maybe to
Mhm.
prop texturing, prop building, material creation process, then you have to be way more creative, or you need to find it. It's going to be harder to find it because
Mhm.
your space of working narrows a lot. I don't know
Mhm.
what you think about that in terms of
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think the limitation also makes it fun.
yeah.
So when you're working with something super big, where I mean, not in the reality is not like this, but like
Mhm.
when it feels like you're working on something where everything counts. I kind of feel like maybe it's something that happens to me only, but I get overwhelmed by all the ideas and all the things that I want to implement on something like that.
Mhm.
And obviously, time is limited, and when you want to generate something, I don't know, like for me, environments is, yes, they have those advantages, but they also have like other bigger disadvantages. Like you have to spend a lot of time, developing those ideas. When you want to develop those creative ideas, how do I call it, like when you want to develop those ideas successfully in the way that they're
Mhm.
believable and they're actually unique, that takes a long time. So I feel like, yes, it might look like it's the lack of it has like a wider or a less, how do you call this, less limiting limitation.
Mhm.
But in reality, it comes with a cost, which is that you're going to have to spend a long time into developing that idea. So when it comes to like smaller things, or faster outcomes like props or materials, characters, you're actually in a position where those ideas, if they're, you want to make them unique, you can actually develop them to completion, or you can execute them
Mhm.
better. And that also makes things unique in a way, because like we're talking about art, but art that is well polished for games, in our particular scenario, that's not so common. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I said before, I think it's a good enough, a good enough distinguisher or differentiation element could be the quality of your work. And
Yeah.
you can do something that someone else already did, but if you do it better, that's your interpretation on something done in the best possible way. So that's also something that could be distinctive and
Yes. The problem with making something better that I feel a lot, and I'm gonna connect this to one of the messages we have here on the podcast from Andropol, who said, "It happens. I tried making a small environment and I ended up dropping it." I'm not sure that this is what happened
Mhm.
to you, Andropol. What I'm about to say or explain, but this is something I hear a lot, and many times happens when someone tries to make something go from point A to point B in quality mostly, or in expectations. What do I mean? If you want to make something that looks amazing, that is like huge, super powerful, that everyone is going to like, that is going to be shared everywhere, you're going to have to work 10 times harder than usual. Many people start a project, yes, wanting to get somewhere in the quality of their artwork, and they don't realize that the amount of work they have to put into it, and they end up dropping the projects. And many times it's not because the project is too hard, it's because their time frame of doing that project is unreal. If you're trying to get something to be from one point to the other and you want the quality to be super good, yes, or be really good at something in particular, what's going to happen is it's going to take you more time. The better you want it to be, the more time it's going to take. So many times and something that I find a lot, mostly when I see artists that are trying to create materials, yes, but I think this also applied to environment and props, that you wanted to do, let's say, the level of a professional artwork in 1 month, when you never managed to get to that level initially. It takes time to get to that level. Like just to give an example, I know Javi can do a really great art piece in maybe hours or even days because he has done it for a lot of years. I can do materials I've done materials, yes, really nice materials here in events in Discord in under 2 hours, and I managed to do that because I've been doing it over 5 years without non-stop. So you need to be a little bit realistic about where you're standing right now, where you want to go, and how much time it's going to take you to be there. Because if you want to go from here to 10 kilometers and you wanted to do it under 20 minutes, 10 minutes, and you're going to do it walking, you're not going to get there in 20 minutes by doing 20 kilometers. Just, it's going to take you a lot of time. So you need to be realistic with your time when it comes to these parts.
One of the things that I compare it to is cooking. Like if you
Yeah,
throw the pasta in the water for like a minute, then you can't expect it to get cooked, you know?
exactly.
So like if things take time, and you have to just give it the time that it needs. And that's
Yes.
that. That's so like I think we like as I guess I'm not sure where this comes from. If it's the 3D world or the digital arts, or if this has been going on for like other disciplines, but I have this feeling where like us 3D artists, let's talk about us 3D artists, we self-impose these restrictions. Like I have to be super fast, and I have to be like doing this the most efficient way possible, and blah 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 blah. And you self-impose these restrictions and
Mm.
sort of limitations, and you end up getting super stressed and getting a lower quality asset, environment, material, just because of that. And it's good to work under limitations, of course, and to learn to be quick and to learn to be efficient, but I think art and quality comes first,
Mm.
and then the rest comes second. So if it's not done, it's not done. You can't just get angry because it didn't get done in the time it needed to be done. If you've been like prioritizing to lay down in the middle of the day over doing your art, sure, get angry with yourself because you've been not doing what you should do. But if you've been doing all you could do, and all you need is more time, we have a lot of time actually. So I mean, I guess with portfolios, it's what I'm saying.
Mm.
We have time to make things better, and it's not like we need to rush things. It's one of the most dangerous parts of getting something done right.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things when it comes to building your portfolio, especially when you're a beginner, and that I see a lot in students, is that you want to rush things, or we want to rush things because we feel we don't have time. We feel we don't have time, but what we want to do takes time. So we rush it, thinking that's going to work. And what that ends up happening is that we lose more time because of that, because we are not starting or doing things
Yeah.
right. So we end up doing
Yeah.
things wrong. If we fail, and well, then we learn that we have to do it with the right timing, and that's how you keep on
Everything.
doing.
Yeah, and everything comes with the sacrifice. It's like with
Yeah.
the gym. Like if you want to get stronger, sure, inject some steroids, but you're
No.
gonna get heart problems because of that.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't rush the things that take time. You need to put in the work, you need to put in the effort, you need to put in the time, and that's what we should learn to do, is to be happy with the process and with giving ourselves the time, and not so much just seeking the results, and that's it.
Yeah, the thing is, I had this when I started my career. So when I was starting out, yes, I didn't know anything about game art. Like literally, I didn't know anything. Like I've never even 3D modeled. And one day I decided to start 3D modeling. And one thing took to the other, and I started doing texturing. And I decided I wanted to do texturing. So during that year, I disposed myself that I wanted to do material art. No matter what, I wanted to do material art. I wanted to work in the gamer industry, and all I wanted was that. And I dropped university because of that. Like I dropped my university, and I started to work every single day. And some of you might have heard this story before because I usually tell this. I woke up at 8 a.m. 8:30 was on my computer. I was on another community at the time. I was with some friends, Marshall Smithers Lab and Kase. They're from another community called Dynasty that I'm sure most of you know about it because it's quite famous. and we were working there, and I would get into like 8:30 a.m. and I would get out of there like 9:30, 10 p.m. all day. I would
Mhm.
only stop to eat. And I did this every single day, non-stop. And I was never like, it was my best year so far. This year I'm doing something similar, you know. It was my best year so far. But when that year went by, yes, and after 1 year of learning material art, I got my first job in the industry, something kind of changed. What I wanted to do, the goal I had, that was getting a job before the end of the year so I could keep doing game art, was done. I started to feel like I was missing something. I stopped enjoying making games. I stopped enjoying making materials. I started to have a 10 times harder time to do what I was doing before. And because of that, a lot of things happened consequentially. I got into a lot of health issues as well, and many other things, and all of this because I didn't have a goal, because I achieved my goal, and now that my goal is achieved, it's like, okay, so now what? Like, you feel empty. So I think that
Hmm.
what many people should try to look into is, yes, have a goal, have a goal you really want to go over, but focus on your process, focus on you getting there and working, and that you enjoy working on it. If you enjoy working on
Yeah,
it, there's you're gonna get there no matter what. Like, Javier gave the
that's
example of the gym. I've been hitting the gym for 3 years now, um, and since I started it today, and my body is completely different. Of course, I'm not a super rip guy because I spend 90% of my time sitting here on my computer working, and those things are not going by in the hand. But when I go to the gym, I spend 3 hours in the gym working out. That's because I love doing what I do there, and the same way happens with, for example, the community. I work every single day, 24 hours in the community. I create content for the community. I create content for other people. I teach for the community. Um, yes, 3 hours is a lot of time, but I'm doing, how do you call this in English? Squats. Squats. I do
squats.
squats
Okay.
with a bar on my back. Yes, I'm doing 150 kilos. So I need to, yes, I need to kind of like warm out a lot. Like 150 kilos is, I don't know, what weighs 150. Like, I'm quite proud of that, just, you know. Like, I'm kind of like an ego lifter, but I do it right. But yes, for example, I'm gonna take that as an example. Right now, I'm doing squats with 150 kilos. Yes, I warm out with 100 kilos doing on squats. But before that, 3 years ago, I couldn't walk. Every time I walk on the
Hmm.
streets, my knees hurt because I was overweight. I was weighing 100 kilos at that time, and I had no muscle because I was all day sitting here. I didn't train, and I couldn't do anything. I went from not even being able to walk till today, where I can squat like almost 2 times my weight. Yes, I'm weighing more or less 85, 6. So that took time. That took 3 years of doing that, and it was so much fun. And every time I do something in the gym or I do something with my career, I put myself a new goal. Same happens with the community right now here that we're talking about it. We recently got to 1,300 people, and my goal is to keep pushing this to make it larger. And every time I accomplish something, I want to do something new that is bigger. When it comes to your portfolio, and this is when I delegate to you, Javi, um, it's different and it's harder to do, I think, because it's not the same. It's once you got the job, you got the job. You know, now you have to get another goal, and yes, I see that you're
Okay, I see. I see what I see what we're how
where you're
we're
going.
I guess lining this where we're lining this. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
how we're lacing. I don't know. Yeah. So that's the thing that you've been saying. You had no goal, right? The goal is to enjoy this. Like, I used to have these conversations with people back in the day. Don't have them anymore so often, but I guess because I deal with students more now than with professionals, which I also do, of course, because once they become professionals, that's part of the goal. But anyways, they one of the common issues that I had brought up to me in the past is I don't enjoy the work anymore. And when you don't enjoy the work, you have to kind of question yourself, like, why do you do games in the first place? Like, it's not the, I mean, it depends on where you're living, but it's not the best paid world job in the world when compared to maybe like, or when you weigh in the hours that you have to spend, the ups and downs of the industry. um there's so many cons in being a games developer that when you stop enjoying this, like, where's the point? And I think that's the goal, is to build your path and your goals so that you keep this process enjoyable. I
Hmm.
think that's the key to everything, because when you make it like 10 hours a day and then you get like 100 kilos and you can't even walk healthy, and you start to get all hunched up, and it's not good for you. And I don't know, man, I don't feel like that's a healthy way to build your goals, because of your health, you're not going to be able to enjoy the work anymore, because it hurts to sit down, and it hurts to stand up, and it kind of sucks. So
It ruins
I
everything
don't know, like,
actually.
maybe again, it's
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not
And then you
like.
don't build
Hmm.
you don't build like a healthy relationship with this. So when it comes to your portfolio, again, it's the same thing, and it's gonna feel like everyone watching, it's gonna feel like, well, I mean, that's such a simple answer, but it's the enjoying it all is what will get you far. If you don't enjoy it in the first place, or you're doing things that don't favor that enjoyment.
Hmm.
So let me put an example. You want to be original, but in order to be original, you're not doing something you enjoy, then you shouldn't do it. Or if you enjoy doing what everything else does, that's fine. Do it. You're enjoying that. That's what matters. And
Yes.
because you're doing it right, you're doing it, sorry, because you're enjoying it, you're going to do it right. Or you're going to look to do it right and to improve. So that's the same for everything, for portfolio, for learning. Just do things that you enjoy doing.
Give me
Because
two
when you
seconds.
enjoyed something, you're gonna have it in a fun place, and you're gonna be able to be proud of that work.
Yes, I agree 100% with what you're saying. I think that you should also find a really healthy relationship between what you want to do as a professional and your life. Something
Hmm.
I repeat myself a lot lately, and I see that many people maybe don't understand this. Everyone has a brain, has a body, and has a soul. Your soul, for me, yes, personally for me, your soul is the combination between how is the state of your brain and of your body. If you don't take care of your body, your brain is gonna fall down. If you don't take care of your brain, of your mental health would be, yes. If you don't take care of your mental health, then your body will go down, and if both things go down, then you're over. Yes, and it's kind of a hard balance to have in your life, because life,
I feel
yeah,
I feel like we've said this every single time we've done this
yes, yes,
podcast.
yes, yes. It keeps
This is
coming
like
back
the
to this.
common theme. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
I think
it's that
yeah,
important.
it's really important because I've seen a lot of. I once had. I'm not gonna share, of course, all personal details about this person, but I have a student. Yes, during this 2024, that she came to me for a mentorship, and when we got
Mm.
into the mentorship, she kind of looked sad, but sad in a way, kind of like like she was actually needing help, and I was like, this is a mentorship program for material art. I think that the problem goes beyond that. And of course, I did the mentorship. I mentored her on making materials. She wasn't really great at making materials, I have to be honest. She had a hard time with that. But part of that was because she had other problems in her life going on. And
Mhm.
part of those problems actually didn't help her with being healthy. And by not being
Mhm.
healthy and when we talk about healthy, it can be mentally speaking and body speaking, then the things you do, especially in art, start to fail. Your art is a reflection of who you are and the things you love and you want to add and the story you want to tell. If your story feels broken, if your main character is broken and harmed, your art is going to be broken and harmed. So
Mhm.
you need to take care first of yourself before you can start giving to others or giving to something else you want to create. And I think that's something really important that many people don't talk about right now. Like in general, like all I see around is, I don't know, people trying to get a job, people trying to get fame, or game studios trying to make the right game. That's the three things I see
Mhm.
nowadays in the industry, and I don't see anyone really worrying about why we make the things we make and how do we make it and why things sometimes come out wrong. And I think that if you want to know how to make something right, you need to know what makes it wrong in the first place. because that's the way you start to.
Yeah, I wonder why that is, and who's like
Hmm,
giving everyone that message. Because like that's the message that I had when I was starting out. Like,
yeah, me
this
too.
is what you need to do. You need to get that fame. You need to get that sort of recognition. And if you get the recognition, you will get the job. But then you get to the industry, and then you meet everyone who you didn't know, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And nobody around you had that recognition from you in the first place because you didn't know everybody. And again, we're so many that it's impossible to get everyone. So I guess recognition is not the goal for sure,
No,
but I wonder who's like putting us these ideas in our heads that we should get that sort of recognition in order to be somebody in the industry.
I,
But
I
I
think
don't
it's
know,
a
man.
tool.
I
Like if you get
a
recognition,
tool
I
of a tool of control or something.
no,
Like,
no, no. I will accept that being something recognized, being someone recognized in the industry is gonna help you maybe get a job for the right job. But the problem is that getting to that point is really hard, and not everyone's gonna be able to get there because of the hard work. I mean, anyone can get at that point. Yes, anyone can be the next Javier Perez, the next Javier Benitez, the next Ezekiel, the next Daniel Tiger. Anyone could be the
yeah.
next. But the thing is that there's only one Javier. Well, no, you have two. We
No, but
have,
actually, no. That's no, but that's like how do you say, like unironically.
yeah, it's an ironical
That's
because
true. There
anyone
is
can do it.
only there's
But
only one you. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know.
like I feel anyone
There's
can
only
do
one
it,
you,
but
but that's what you should go for.
exactly. The problem is that many people won't get the job done for what they want to do, as I was saying before. So if you want to be someone with, I don't know, certain level of recognition in the industry, there's some things that you want to have to do in order to get there. I don't know, not everyone wants to do that. But again, it's not necessary to become a professional. I know professionals in the industry that I never see, like they don't have a LinkedIn account. They don't have a LinkedIn account, and
Yeah.
they are professionals working in big studios, like big
And they're probably
studios.
the happiest people.
They are the
It's like,
happiest
man, every
people.
time I get into
They don't care
LinkedIn.
about anything
Yeah.
else. They care about their job and making their job, and they have a ton of fun with their job, and that's all they do. And they get a good
Yeah.
paycheck. They have a good job. They like their job, and they work on a big studio with the games they want. And if they want to switch studios, they do it, and they basically don't have to do anything at
Yeah.
all.
And look, man, like the world worked without LinkedIn in the first place. I don't know
Yeah.
why we're so like LinkedIn. It worked without LinkedIn. It worked without ArtStation. It worked without everything. Obviously, we're not on that stage anymore, but like networking is still the king when it comes to
Yes.
getting that
Completely.
job opportunity. And if you do that physically, like in a convention, or you do that through LinkedIn, it's the same thing. Even I would argue that one's better than the other, obviously.
Yes.
That being the one in the convention, when you can actually shake hands with people. Um, but yeah, I don't know, man.
So
Next question.
yes, next question. Because we're not gonna keep drowning ourselves in this part of the podcast. So I had other questions prepared, guys, for many of you, but one of the I think the most important question when it comes to creating portfolio art is organization.
Mm,
And one of the questions I had for
mm.
you, Javi, was do you have any kind of trick or secret for better organizing or doing it more efficiently when it comes to your art projects? How do you organize your art projects, and how you do make it more efficiently so it's easier for you to make it done or make it happen?
Whew. Okay, so everyone that knows me knows that I'm like the probably. I mean, that's a bit of an overstatement, but I'm like the king of improvising. Um, and I can actually like look. One thing I learned throughout all these years is that it doesn't matter how much you plan something. It's like life has a way of getting a stick on your will and sort of break all your plans. So when I teach a class, I'm figuring out what that class is going to be in the morning, and when I have a problem to solve, I'm figuring out the problem while I do it. How do I organize myself? I have some sort of version control system. I use Google Drive. I upload my files so that they don't get like so that I can recover them at some point.
Hmm.
Other than that, I maintain good organization in my folders when it comes to like I maintain my references organized. But in reality, when it comes to like how I figure out a portfolio piece, it goes about like how I wake up in the morning, because I don't like to plan like how much I'm going to texture in throughout the week if I'm not in a creative mood. So if I'm
Mm.
not in a creative mood, I know that I'm going to have to force myself to texture something. And of course, that's not to say like I'm going to just do nothing, but I'm going to find a way to do something productive that doesn't require me to be creative. So I know what I have to do. I know that I have to, for example, for props, which is my more of my thing. I know I have to make a high poly, a low poly, UVs, bakes, and textures, and I
Mm.
know that I have to move through that process. But if I wake up in the morning, I'm second day of the high poly, and I don't feel like modeling, I'm gonna be either collecting references for those specific pieces that I don't haven't figured out yet, or I'm gonna be collecting tileable photo textures, or making those photo textures that I collected tileable, just to get some time, I guess, save some time during the texturing process. I'm
Mm.
not a particularly like I don't understand efficiency comes from organization. I think efficiency comes from understanding what you're capable of doing during that particular day and sort of adapting your workload to make
Mm.
sure that you're actually going to progress towards that deadline more efficiently. I've never been late to a deadline.
Yeah.
I think not ever once. And I think this thing that I adopted from very early on, where I'm like I don't feel like modeling, so I'm gonna make all these stylable textures because it's easier for me to use Photoshop than
Mm.
moving vertices today, and that's the way I do it. So I don't know.
Yeah. No.
I
I.
guess
I'm.
I hope it makes sense.
No. No. I think that's totally. It makes totally sense. I think in my case, when it comes to these kind of projects, I always try to first organize the projects into. When I say organize, I feel people understand like, okay, you're going to state what you're going to do each day. Like first day, I'm going to
Mm,
do lockout, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, and it's like no. I want to know what I want to create. I want to know where I'll go to create. I might organize a little or kind of be generic about the organization of how or the order I'm going to do it. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it
mhm,
exactly in that order. Sometimes
mhm,
you need a space out of what you're working on. So let's take an example. If you're
mhm,
working in Substance Designer, you're creating your materials. Sometimes when you're working on it, you're working in your height, normal and ambient occlusion. You have no roughness, no base color, and you want to, and you feel, sorry, not you want to, but you feel you're kind of like going nowhere. And it happens a lot. For those who
mhm,
work on Substance Designer, know the feeling, especially when you're starting out, of feeling lost or that anything you're trying out doesn't make your material look good. So it's you start to have doubts
mhm,
about your skill. You have to start doubts about the project you choose. You have to start doubts in general. In my case, what I like to do
mhm,
is I like to cut that thought by making a quick render. I already upload a short recently about that, but I'm just gonna say it again. Make like the reason I make a render is to actually see the material, yes, in the place I'm gonna end up doing the render because I care how it looks there, not in Substance Designer. In Substance Designer, it may look good, but if I take it to Unreal or Marmoset, it looks bad, then everything I've done, it's useless. But
mhm,
the other secret behind doing something like that is that it cuts your workflow. So if you're working in Substance Designer and you get stuck, and then you get stuck, and you keep doing the same, you just keep getting stuck. So having a break and doing something different might help you. In my case, is making a new render or even I don't know going for a walk. I try not to give so many walks because I end up in the bakery and buying some food, and yeah, that's not good for for my diet lately. Trying to beat other things as well. So um, doing something that's all planned. No, it was not planned, but doing something that allows you to kind of have that small break and do something different, as you were saying, is actually quite useful. And sometimes it can be something creative as well, or
mhm,
something that maybe it forced you to kind of like focus and grind on something, but it's not something necessary for your life, or your life's not going to change. Like for example, when it comes to games, when I feel overwhelmed, I go and I start playing WoW. I know you have we've talked about this before, but I recently started playing again. So when I
mhm,
feel really overwhelmed and I want to chill, I go ahead and I play World of Warcraft. I do some quests by myself. I just enjoy everything. Classic WoW, of course. And usually, what happens is that despite I'm just playing games in there, I'm having like a quest that tells me what to do, where to go. And quests are not easy in WoW for those who don't know. Like they ask you to kill 1,000 enemies or something like that, and to get, I don't know, one heart of an enemy, and that enemy has a drop chance of 50%, so you end up killing 2,000 enemies instead of 1,000 enemies. So the grind is real in there. And by doing that, I kind of put myself into a spot where I start to kind of like push myself into doing something. And when I finish, like, okay, I've done this, let's try doing again what I was doing before. So you go back to doing that. And again, this doesn't have to be games itself, it doesn't have to be something creative. I used to do motorcycle rides sometimes to relax myself. Training, like training, I think, like, well, nowadays it just, with all the weight I'm pulling up, I just want to sleep after training. But there was a time where after training, I was at my best. I wanted to do everything, and I was super creative. So the more you know yourself, as we were talking before, the better it's gonna be for you to actually understand how you can enhance yourself into these kind of workflows and to be more efficient when working with your art. And I think the main point of this is that it's not always about the organization. It's about how much you know yourself and how well you manage yourself and in front of these situations. So I have some questions here. When do you create a portfolio pieces more often, as a professionals, like personal projects, or studio project pieces?
I think what they're asking is like what's the well, actually the way it's
Yes.
phrased. When do
Yeah.
you create portfolio pieces more often as professionals, like personal projects? Yeah. So I think they're asking like pretty much help me find the way to create more pieces while I'm on my personal time, as I'm not able to publish the work that I did for the studio. Pretty much, if I can rephrase that. Right. So I mean, if you're not allowed to publish work from the studio, that's fine. And sure, it's difficult to find the time to get the work done after, like, get to build a portfolio, I guess, after you've done like 8 hours of work every day. I never do personal work um in 3D. I'm gonna say I never do personal work in 3D when I've worked a full day of, as a 3D artist, for example. I'm too tired, but I will instead go out and take some pictures and keep my creativity sort of flowing in a different way. I guess
Hmm.
that's not useful for you because you want to build a portfolio. Just give yourself the time. It's gonna. I'm sure you're gonna feel that like this. Like someday you're gonna feel like the studio work isn't so tiring anymore.
Hmm.
Like it's more of a one, two, three sort of thing, like a step by step, and all you need to do is just do the work and not be super creative. So it's not a challenge anymore. And then the next step for me, and when that happened, was to feel a bit more creative, and actually jump in and do some personal work after. But like the way it came for me was like I tried to learn new skills that I couldn't learn while I was working. So like if I'm working as a weapon artist, I'm not gonna be doing weapons in the evening, right? So when I was working as an environment artist, what I would try to learn was photogrammetry. Like after learning photogrammetry, I would, learn substance designer because I wasn't doing that in my day job. So I use the opportunity not to like repeat what you've done during the first 8 hours of your day, but to actually do something different, to learn something new that could be useful to you in the work or not. I would say portfolio, yeah, it's important, but I kind of in the point now where it's not so important. When you have a job already,
Hmm.
that should be your first focus. And like it's common knowledge that you can get your NDA work like behind a password, or show it as a screen share during an interview while you have signed an NDA. So that could be portfolio work if you need to move
Hmm.
workplaces, for example. I don't know. Each person has their own energy, and if you have the energy to work another 3-4 hours a day after your day job, go ahead and do it. But think that maybe it's good to actually touch grass, or actually worry about other things. I
Yeah,
guess.
I kind of like feel like when we try to focus to do 100% out of two things at the same time, we end up failing at both things at the same time. So
Yeah,
maybe if you are in
much
your job,
much better and concise way to say it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, it's all right because I got this idea of so listening to you of saying like that way. So, what I was going to say is that if you're working at your job, you're working there and you have the NDA, you can't post anything in your portfolio. I would suggest to do just as he said, as Javi said, working in your studio, focus on your studio. Eventually, when you get used to it, um, you're going to start to have the energy to make something new. Or you can take that opportunity, like, think about this. If you're working at a studio as a material artist, and this is what I'm implying right now, that means that you are going to have a place where you're going to be forced to be up to date with how you work or what you like doing. So you have that means that now you have a free time to work on the things that before you didn't want to work because they weren't your priority. So now you have more time to do new things. So maybe instead of focusing on keep doing your portfolio, and in my case, keep doing your portfolio for material art, you can start making things you love in general that are different from what your day job is. Uh, Again, my case, I work as a material artist. I created a business, a Discord community. I learned Houdini this year. I'm learning also pixel processor. I learned programming this year. Like I did a lot of things. I Some of them I didn't even finish to actually understand or know. Like I couldn't do a job with Houdini or programming, but I know the basics at least to get into the software and start over and try doing something, you know. But yeah, last year you're right, Marius. Last year was not this year. So don't pressure yourself about your portfolio when you have a job.
Mhm.
Focus on your daily job first and take your portfolio now like something you really want to do. If you don't want to do it, just don't do it. You're like while working on your daily job, you're working on your portfolio as well. Now, if you want to do a better quality than what you're doing at your work, well, then that's another story, and you can do it as well. You can work on your off hours in your portfolio to do something better. But again, don't push yourself. You have time. You have a job. Yes, it's gonna take time, and if you burn out, you're not gonna get anywhere. So try to kind of focus on actually getting there, no matter how much time it takes, rather than getting there now. So I
Let's
had
get Vedant's question.
yeah, it does. So I also have Ben asking here: is keeping art style consistent good, or having a few different style is helpful too? I think we had this question
I
before.
don't know, man.
Um, I feel
Yeah, I
like
mean, I don't care. I mean,
yeah, me too. It's like
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's one of those things where
it really
if
depends
you
on
do
what you
it,
want.
yeah. But we've already built on one concept that I think it's very important. It's the putting the argument for focusing on one style only is the focusing part. So if you do two things and you don't focus on either of them
Hmm.
completely, you might not fully develop on one of the two areas enough in order to become a professional. I mean, that's the argument, okay? That's the theory. In reality, I don't care. Do what you want to do. I'm sure that like you're gonna find a way to make it work. Because like if you pursue something long enough, you end up getting it.
Hmm.
It's when you give up when you failed, right? The only way you're gonna fail at something is when you stop trying to make it. Like you can get rejected, and but that rejection isn't really a full defeat. It's just a
Hmm.
partial defeat. So if someone says, I reject you because you have two styles in your portfolio, good. But if you stop getting what you want, which is those two styles, then you've defeated yourself. You've
Hmm.
let that rejection defeat you. So um, just enjoy it, man. I mean, if you want two styles, go for it. I think it's gonna be great. Some studios they will surely appreciate that. Like Helldivers, the original one was more of a stylized style, and now it's like a
Like
realistic
yeah.
style. And I'm sure that those artists in the studio they had to adapt, and they would appreciate having a stylized portfolio because they understand their own path has led them to adapt from stylization to realism. And I don't know, I would have to check the style again, but I remember Helldivers 1 to be
Yeah, it was a top-down game
um
actually. It was kind of like
Yeah,
third
I remember it
person,
to
like
be somewhat stylized.
yeah, the
Yeah,
game changed a lot, and they even did better
yeah,
now
yeah.
than they were doing before, at the start at least. This
Hmm.
takes me back to something that you mentioned in your interview, the interview I did to you last year, that you said that you should be able to do something you love and get good at that, and the market is going to have a place for you. I think that's true. If
Hmm.
you do something people need and that you're good at it, you're going to find a job. Maybe not the job that you want or that you like picture yourself in, but maybe the one that is fit for you and that you even gonna enjoy more than the one that you were imagining. Today, again, as an example, I like putting my examples because it's the experience I have and where I can be clear about the learnings. When I started out as a material artist, I went to work at huge studios with everyone around me working on games, everyone doing everything. And well, today I'm not doing that. I'm working for a studio from home. Uh, I hold a community, a YouTube channel. I'm doing a lot of things and I love my life. And it came out like this because I'm really good at doing several things together. And I found something where I can put all of those things together, making art, teaching, helping others, and being in community. Those are four things I really love doing. Um,
But I think you found like a different thing in life that maybe
yes.
you're not understanding yet. But one of the things
Yes.
that you've accomplished this year is that you're partially working for others at the same time that you're working for yourself. And a lot of people, when they start working, is they're gonna be focused on working for others completely, and we forget that in reality, like all we have is ourselves, and the life that we live is towards ourselves. So the progress is for us, it's not for other people. So
Mm.
if you feel like you're only working towards working for others, that might get frustrating really really quick. I mean, it
Yes.
happened to me. I burnt out many times because I wasn't working in what I actually like to do, but what I was asked to do many times. So you have to balance those things, and that's why I think you're saying you're very happy, is because you found the balance between working for others while also pursuing the work that you're doing for yourself. So
Yes. I think it's also because when I started, like, when I finished secondary school, one year, when I started, no, sorry, when I started graphic design school, one day I got a teacher that gave me a different explanation about what design is. And she explained design as designers are experts that identify problems, but most importantly, they are
mhm.
experts that they want to help other people. And I really got kind of like moved with that. And I wanted to do that for a long time. And when I discovered game art, I kind of like lost track of it. And out of the blue, I wanted to be a super material artist that was known all around the globe. That he had a lot of fame by doing amazing art. And behind that
Mm.
idea, it was the idea of also wanting to change the world with art, which was kind of like, I don't know. I think it's kind of
Many
childish in a
things,
way,
yeah.
and
No, I mean,
I mean, it's not
it gets you
childish, but
started.
unreal,
I think
at that point. And when I got
no, but
my
I
first
think it
job,
gets you started.
yeah, it gets you started. But the problem is that when I got my first job, I kind of lost track of it. And today I was able to, well,
Mm.
not today, last year I was able to find it back. And today I'm trying to do the same, but with more things, with I'm trying to change the world education around something I love, that is making games and art. So
Mhm.
it takes time. That's something I'm gonna say. It takes a lot of time, and you need to look for it. If you stay, like, you need to look for it, but you're gonna find something where you feel, as you said, happy, comfortable, and you can work for others at the same time work for yourself. Because when you work for yourself, is
Yeah,
when you're
it's
gonna
a
feel the
long-term
better.
thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's a this should all feel more like a long-term thing. A lot of us, like when we started, it I mean, for me, it felt like it had to happen in the next year. I mean, in my particular case, it had to happen in the next year, or else I was going back to high school, and I couldn't cope
yeah.
with that idea.
It happened the same.
And but that was like the so yeah, but it doesn't have to happen tomorrow or the next month or the next year.
Mm,
Like, I think we should not focus so much on the when. So yeah, I mean, I think we should start like a lot of the people that start I think for us as like teachers of like or if we can call ourselves mentors
mm,
for our communities, I think it's important to get that message across. Like, it doesn't have to happen now or tomorrow. It needs
Yeah.
to happen when it happens. And what's the focus is that, like somebody said here,
I got I got lost track of the
like
questions.
there aren't job openings, and this leads me to thinking like when you accept just anything as a good thing, that's just as dangerous as not having a job, I think, because you can get like the wrong idea of the games industry. This happened to me many times, where I just got the job because I needed to make it, and that's what rushing will do to you. You know, just get whatever and everything's good. I don't think it should work like that. So that's our
Yeah.
responsibility as well, Ezequiel and myself, to just tell people that this is more of a long term investment rather than something that should happen now.